Welcome, everybody. We are wildly winning tonight, even if we have the flu or any other symptoms of distress. But we're gonna discuss wildly important goals tonight, and that is, and I'm super excited about Discipline 1 and the things we're going to learn and how we're going to grow. So you already know Deb Cullen. If you don't, let me introduce you to her. She works for the Southern Regional Education Board. She is always fun. And we're going to be doing all kinds of neat things like tonight. Like I see, we're going to do recipe cards and some fun things. So
Claire has her hat on, by the way, because it's hat day. Claire has her hat on.
Oh, I need to get my hat. I'll be back.
Yeah.
But I don't want a prize. I just have to do it because I'm having fun.
Yes.
So, Deb, where is your hat?
I know. I can't believe I didn't do that today. What's wrong with me? I'm
So I have put the chat. There are several things on that agenda. All of our Twitter information, our sign-in evaluation are at the end of that. So if you have to cut out early, know that you've got that information already, and I will turn things over to Deb. And I'm going to go get my hat.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here with us today. And we're going to be talking once again about our wildly important goal. And we're going to be doing some things together just to kind of go over the pages that we've talked about. So the action agenda is in the chat, and it is once again a rolling action agenda. That way we have everything for this entire book study all in one place so that you don't have to keep on going. So it's the same link as we've been using. So you just keep scrolling down. So you'll see the first one was the kickoff. The second was week 2. Keep on scrolling down and you'll find the information for today for week 2. So I understand that, and I didn't realize so many places were closed down for flu in Kentucky. So my prayers to you that everyone is being safe and feeling better and all those good things. There's Kay's. I love it.
I was looking for my Viking helmet, but I think it's in the garage. We used it last year for senior. So this is what I found. Actually, you know, I have about 5 hats right over there. I can change them throughout the session.
There you go. That's perfect. Okay, so let's talk about what was your cup of tea from today's reading. So we can do our Slido here. And you can scan it or put slido.com, 1759, 235. Just tell me, what was your cup of tea from today's reading? Meaning something that you found interesting, that you liked, something that was comforting, soothing, or all of the above.
It has to be a good thing.
Well, yes.
Okay.
It's your cup of tea today. We're having a spot of tea together.
This is somewhat uncomfortable. I'm going to take it off. It's really too big for my head.
So I have 2 people typing in. One thing I love about Slido is it can tells you when people are interacting so that you know to just stick with it. Oh, we got another hat there. Bishop has a hat. Yay.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, I've got Bishop down.
I missed Claire's. Claire, turn back on. Let's see yours.
Oh, that is a very good cup of tea, is that small goals are better than huge ones. Absolutely. There's Claire again. WIG is not a strategy. It's a tactical goal with a limited time frame. Now, I don't know about you, but for an educator who's been in it for a long, long time, anything that talks about not being an initiative or a strategy or a new thing, that it's a limited time thing, sounds good. Oh yeah, that sounds like a really good sip of tea would be to learn to say no. Execution starts with focus. Fantastic. Oh, Kim, you like the Steve Jobs quote at the end of the chapter. Yeah, that's a good one. Focus on the battles that win the war. The one thing to make the big difference. where we want to break through. How I love that part. Oh, look at that hat Kathy has. Wow. That's like a Spartan mask. I love it.
All right, I gotta go
Yes.
get my other hat.
Yes, for the first time, go big or go home is not where we need to be. We can always go small and still get where we need to be. Loving these. Everyone must feel included and to want to be involved. And it really is something that helps everyone have a voice. And that can be a challenge, but it's also good. That's what we need. Yes, those wig sessions are so good. And I have some things for you today that will help you do it in an educational setting as well. All right, fantastic, fantastic. The focus on one thing, not lots of things. And I think that that's a refreshing thing that we need now. And I also think that this fits right in with our post-COVID lockdown. I know we're not really post-COVID yet. In that we're trying to, in thinking about accelerating our learning or making up for things that we've lost. This is one of the things that can help us do that. Oh, yes, there's Kim too. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, your horns are blending in. Okay. I love it so much. And those wig sessions, yes, that's so important because then it'll help everyone be accountable. And even once we get into the cadence later on of accountability, it's the same kind of thing. So nice job, A, on the hats and B, on the cup of tea today. Love it. So we're going to continue to go. And in your action agenda, I have a KWH LAQ chart because we need a reason to watch and listen. We are going to be at the bottom of my down here at the bottom, whoops, week 2. So on your action agenda, there's a KWH LAQ chart and you can make a copy. Remember to go to File, Make Copy, because this is a view only, but you can make your own so that you can type in it as we watch a video that we're going to watch on the wildly important goals. So if you want to use that, love the KWH LAQ strategy because it's very helpful to give students something a reason to listen and a reason to watch. All right, so this is a video actually from Sean Covey, and it is on the website. And I gave you the website in your action agenda because it also has some resources to help you too. So I'm going to share the sound here, and I'm going to actually play this video for you so that we can get some information from the man himself. So we're going to watch a 7-minute video and we're going to put down the KWH LAQ. So before we watch the video, I want you to let's have 2 minutes to fill out the what do I think I know and the what do I want to learn part. And I think the one on the action agenda is different. I'm looking at it now. Yes. Let's fill out the what I know and the what I want to know, and even maybe the how will I find out, because those are the priors to the video or priors to the speaker or whatever. And then the other 3 are after you've watched the video. So once again, on this KWH LAQ, remember to hit File, Make a Copy, and that way it can be only yours and you can actually write right on it.
And may I ask a question? So we're doing this before we watch the video.
Yes, just the
So
first.
what is the topic that we are supposed to be writing about?
I'm sorry, the wildly important goals.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Just to clarify, does anybody else need the agenda in the chat?
Yes. So the topic for your KWH LAQ, once again, is a wildly important goal. So I'm going to put a timer on for 2 minutes. Kay's taking her horns off.
I could say something, but I won't.
We're on the timer, just gives you some time to put some things in your KWHLAQ chart. We have about 30 seconds. And time. Okay, so we're going to watch the video, and to use a KWHLAQ chart, the last three are what you would do maybe during or after the video. So it's a good place to kind of, it's a good note-taking focus for you or for your students. All right.
The first discipline is to focus on the wildly important. If a team has 2 to 3 goals in addition to the whirlwind, they can usually get 2 to 3 done. When that same team attempts 4 to 10 goals, how many do you think they're going to get done now? Far fewer. They actually go backwards. This is the law of diminishing returns, and it is as real as gravity. You can ignore it, but it won't ignore you. At 11 to 20 goals, you're not likely to accomplish anything in addition to the whirlwind. But 0 doesn't mean that the team isn't getting any results. The whirlwind is still running, right? 0 means the team isn't executing anything new. 0 means that leadership is kind of irrelevant. Now, while this is a simple enough idea, it's very difficult for most teams or organizations to adhere to. Here's why. Imagine those 11 to 20 goals for a second and ask yourself this. In your experience, are those 11 to 20 goals based on good ideas or bad ideas? They're almost always based on good ideas, and that's the problem. There will always be more good ideas than there is capacity to execute. Apple is known for being one of the most innovative companies in the world. That's not actually how they think of themselves. Here's a great quote from Tim Cook to a group of shareholders back in 2008. He said, "We are the most focused company that I know of or have read of or have any knowledge of. We say no to good ideas every day. We say no to great ideas in order to keep the amount of things we focus on very small in number so we can put enormous energy behind the ones we do choose." The table each of you are sitting at today, you could probably put every product on it Apple makes, yet Apple's revenues last year were $40 billion. There are 2 focus traps we want you to be aware of. Number 1, saying yes to all the good ideas, what we've been talking about. Number 2, turning everything in the whirlwind into a goal. We measure a lot of things in the whirlwind that are necessary to maintain the operation. But just because you can measure something doesn't mean it needs to be a goal for optimization. If we try and optimize every objective, every metric in the whirlwind, particularly if they require a change in behavior, we inevitably stall the organization. It's okay for the whirlwind to occupy 80% of an organization's energy. That's life support after all. but don't let it take 100%. Give the other 20% to the thing that is going to make all the difference, the thing you are going to blow the doors off of. We call this a wildly important goal, or a WIG. Simply put, the 4 disciplines of execution are a treatment to achieve the wildly important goal. Once the WIG is achieved and becomes a natural part of the way the organization runs, the WIG can be retired back into the whirlwind. It is still being tracked, but doesn't require the full treatment of 4DX, and the team is free to choose another WIG. Here are 4 rules for thinking about your wildly important goal. Have only 1 WIG per person at the same time. The further you get into the disciplines, the more important you will realize this is. Your WIG should only represent one aspect of your team's work, not the sum total of all activities. For instance, if you run a small business, you wouldn't want your WIG to be profitability. If you run a sales team, you wouldn't want your WIG to be total revenue. Because in both examples, the WIG represents all of the work, including the activities in the whirlwind. Even though you are picking a single goal, you haven't actually narrowed your focus. Choose a WIG that represents the most critical gap. In selecting a WIG, don't just think about what's most important. Think also about what is most at risk for being accomplished. For instance, in the airline industry, nothing is more important than safety, but there's no gap in performance there. It's not at risk. They are, thankfully, great at this. We don't want them doing anything different, so safety would not be an ideal choice for a wildly important goal. When choosing your WIG, think about where applying the treatment of 4 disciplines will have the biggest impact. Create a clear finish line for every WIG, a single measure of success in the form of from X to Y by when, where X is the starting line, Y is the finish line, and when is the deadline. Think, where are we now? Where do we need to be? And by when? Too often, goals are defined in general terms with a variety of measures that merely dilute accountability and clarity. In the 1950s, the struggling U.S. space program had the goal of leading the world in space exploration. And that was a fine goal, and there were lots of measures associated with it, but there was very little focus, clarity, or accountability. In 1961, John F. Kennedy said something a little different. He said, "We'll put a man on the moon by the end of the decade and return him safely home." When he stated that from X to Y by when, he created a line in the sand. Accountability went up, and interestingly enough, so did engagement. Now, we don't believe that engagement went up because accountability went up. We believe they both went up because there's a little switch in people's heads called game on. And whether Kennedy realized it or not, he threw the game on switch.
Okay, so a little bit of that, trying to explain a little bit about the WIG. Now, because they use a lot of examples of business, I wanted to show you just really quickly. Let me see if they have them down in this format yet. I'm going to show you some WIGs from some schools that I have worked with on this. And they didn't do it there, so let me get their old one. Okay, so I think I have to do a new share real quick. Yes, all right. So this is the beginning, and this is something that they're doing and they're working on. And this was their original stab at doing a school-wide WIG. So their WIG is that overall the school in and of itself is going to increase students performing at Tier 1 in ELA from 41 to 45 and math from 37 to 45 using iReady data by the end of the third, I think it says the third benchmark. Okay, so they have their where they start, where they end, and by when. So that was one of those things. So then each teacher committed to making a WIG on their own that reflects the larger WIG for the school. I will improve math notebooks from copying the problem to showing their work by December 2022. I will increase writing letters of names from no letter identification to writing legibly written letters of their name by May 2023. So that's kind of some examples of how you could use those WIGs based on education. So in the goal here, I'm sorry, in the slides, and I'll put this, I just realized I didn't put those on the action agenda. So make sure I do that before we leave today. Okay. All right. So these are some notes from what that video just talked about and some of the things that are in the book too. It's good to have one team goal. So that could be a school-wide goal, that could be a PLC goal, or just a couple teachers who are getting together to make a change. The 2 focus traps, once again, saying yes to all good ideas and turning everything into a goal. We have the 80-20, and then there are 4 rules of the wildly important goal, and this is going to be important to you. Once again, this is in the WIG format, kind of our formula for you math people. And here are some examples, a couple of business and a couple of education examples. Once again, WIGs can be done for students. They can write them themselves. Like you can do a class WIG. It's however that it works out for you. Okay, so we're going to try something together to make sure we have a good understanding of what a WIG is based on the book and what we've just seen. So on your action agenda, we are now going to go into number 2, what's the recipe? And you're going to take a look at some group recipe cards based on your breakout room. And once again, how many we have? 21. So we could have 5 groups of 4K, and then that'll be without us in it. We could do it that way. Or 4 groups of 5, however you want to do it. And they can be random, and make sure we don't close the rooms on this time, because every time we forget to put the time down. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go in and I want you to make sure that you do your, you know who's going to do what. So your Technoscribe and all those things like that. You'll pull this up, and each one of these is a card based on your group number. So group 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what we want to see is a wildly important recipe card. And this is a great way to summarize a strategy, a skill, or something that your kids need to know. So you're going to go in and you're going to do your wildly important goals. Now, for a wildly important goal, based on what we read this week and the video we just watched, what are the ingredients of a wildly important goal? And then what would be the instructions of creating and utilizing that wildly important goal? So that we're going to just make a recipe card to kind of summarize what we've read and what we've learned. So once we get into our breakout rooms, we're going to, let's say, let's give them, I would say 15 minutes to work, and that way they can discuss. So we'll come back at 5:10. And does anyone have any questions, clarifications? And I'll go ahead and put the slides on the action agenda. That way, if you want to use the slides for this, you can do that as well. Does anybody have any questions before we go in? All right, Kay. Beam them up, Scotty. Okay, welcome back, everyone, as you're popping back in. And so I see that a couple people had a little bit of a different idea of what we were doing, and that is quite all right. Because I saw two groups that did kind of their own spin on it and two groups that did the elements of. So it actually works out perfectly. So I'm going to go back to those. And I would like for the reporter to unmute and just give us a real quick summary of what you talked about in your group. So let me share that screen. And we will go with group 2 first. So group 2, reporter, tell me what you came up with. Bueller. You're muted.
When you say group 2, do you mean group 1 and
Group-
on slide 2?
No, I
Group
have
2 should be
Group two.
Andrea, Charla, Cindy, Claire, Jonathan, and Robin.
We kept working back and forth in between like the ingredients and the instructions. It took us a while, like we kind of debated a little bit. We would put it one location, then we would change it to the other location. And then when we were doing the instructions, we would put something at the end and we're like, well, no, you've got to decide what your timeline is and what your finish line is at the very beginning. So I thought this was beneficial. And like, if you've done this with kids too, there's a lot of discussion about, does it go here? Does it go here? What order do we put the steps and that kind of thing?
I love that feedback, and you're absolutely right. It is a way, when you first think about doing a recipe card as a way of talking about what elements are involved in something or whatever, it seems very simplistic, but it really does offer a kind of informational conversation that comes about it. So you got things like the ingredients, one goal, what and how, checkpoints, time, committed team or partner. So those are the kinds of things that you're looking for in it. And then with your instructions, you were saying, pick a wig from the whirlwind, establish the what and how, define the purpose. So this is a very structured way of doing our wig. So it's a way of also reviewing what we read, reviewing what we watched, and reviewing what we've talked about. Nice work. Thank you. Now, group 1 took a little different spin and they made it their own. So they actually even hammered down a possible wig, and they talked about the ingredients that they would need to make this wig possible, as well as the instructions. So could I have the reporter from group 1?
Yeah, and it's funny, like when group 2 was going over like their recipe, I was like, oh, we did those things, because like we
That's
did take
so
something
cool.
from the whirlwind, and we all kind of agreed that student engagement was definitely something to work on. And then at first we were like, okay, all right, we were kind of broad in our initial coming up with this goal, and then we were like, well, how do we measure that? And that's how we got like kind of stuck. It's like, oh, that's really hard. So then we changed it to like how engagement activities, like getting like an actual number on it. And then we were like, well, let's make it a little better. We have student-centered instructional activities. And then, we basically, yeah. And then I feel like I like the way it turned out. Now, of course, that first percentage, it kind of just depends on, where you are in your classroom. But the goal, we want to design lessons that will allow students to participate and contribute to their learning and the learning of their peers. We did talk about John Hattie a little bit and like what gets the things like moving on the scale. So, of course, when kids get to collaborate and debate, it shows much more growth. So that's another reason why I feel like we were focused on this goal. So some of our ingredients, pulling that focus, clarity, bringing in prior knowledge. Socratic seminars was mentioned in a variety of different ways in discussions and debates, giving students, more opportunities to show what they know through like choice boards.
Yeah.
And then, our Go Kagan, and of course having
I love it, Amanda. Yeah, this is great. So you were able to see how important those wig meetings would be even too. Like when you are sitting down to create the wigs, a wig meeting is so important because like you were talking about, we really let's make it a little bit better. Let's make it a little more focused. And so
That's
having
exactly
that,
what I thought of. Like the whole time I was like, we do sound like one of those businesses sitting there like
you
you know,
do.
rolling over all the, yeah, I mean, but that is what it takes. But then when everybody had their input, because I feel like everybody was talking in our group and contributing. So, you know, I felt like, you know, we all had that, you know, I guess that buy-in, that game on moment. I guess if you will.
Just gave me goosebumps all over the place.
Oh.
I love that. I love that.
Well, that's another wig of mine. Yeah. No.
Giving me goosebumps. I love it. You're successful. Put it
Successful.
back in the whirlwind.
Got the success criteria. Okay. All right, I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. Group 3. They kind of did the same thing as group 1. They took it and made it their own. Group 3, slide 4.
I'm trying to find how to enlarge this so I could unmute it and I couldn't get to it. Yes, I'm sorry. We kind of went in the different direction.
No, it's okay. This is what,
Um,
however it works best for you is what we need.
Well, when we were, I think it kind of snowballed, like we were talking and then we saw what one group was doing and we thought, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. And then we looked at somebody else and we're like, well, wait, no, which one are we supposed to do? And so we kind of had that like moment of self-doubt. And so we went this direction. But as we were talking, one of the things that, you know, kids have a hard time doing is, well, one, sitting still and finding something that they could read just for pleasure. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. It's not, if it's school related and they want to read it, then that's fine. If it's not school related, then,
Mhm.
you know, that's fine. It's something that they're reading. It's something that they're being engaged in and they're having fun and get pleasure from that. So we said, you know, just 10 minutes to read something that you could do. And this would be 10 minutes that teachers could also read and whatever class period that it works. I know some schools have class periods where it's built into where, you know, it's not content, but it could be used to, Kayla said that they have what's called navigation in their school. I have something that's called win, and that's time where it's built into the day where, you know, if we lose 10 minutes on something, it's not going to be the be all end all. But
Yes.
they used to do things like drop everything and read, or, you know, that sustained silent SSR and things like
Yes,
that.
I remember that.
And, you know, some kids are going to absolutely hate it, but it's only 10 minutes and, you know, you can do anything for 10 minutes. And they could at least, even if it's a hunting magazine or if it's an article on, I don't know, anything that they would find joy from, but like offering incentives and do like small things. I mean, if we wanted to increase it and we saw that it was doing really good, you could increase the 10 minutes. Or if we saw, gosh, this is 10 minutes is too much, maybe we just need to do 5 and start it out with. But
Yeah, and hope even like on this where it says teachers will implement 10 minutes of free reading, would it go from like 0 to 10 minutes?
yeah,
Like we talked about, it has to be kind of like a from start to here by when. So you have that. So maybe we would want to add, you know, teachers will implement from 0 to 10 minutes of free reading time, or 5 to 10 minutes, just to give it that X, Y, Z kind of deal. Thank you so much. That's excellent. Yeah. All right. And last but not least, we have group 4 who went back to the formula of what it takes for a wildly important goal. So can I have group 4, slide 5 people?
Okay, so I was group 4 and we said the ingredients of a wig had to be achievable, taking small steps, measurable, winnable, and high stakes. I must have the who, what, when, where, why. And then I didn't really like understand, I guess, the instructions part of it. So I just put that the biggest challenge for executing the most important goals is in the midst of the urgent. So taking time to set aside what is really important to focus on the most important things. And then the battles you choose must win the war. I really like that. That was a quote from the book. And then just to narrowly focus on the wig and not always focus on everything else, because it's easy to get caught up in that whirlwind.
I love it. Fantastic. So yeah, so we had this one strategy that we were able to use a couple of different ways, and you could absolutely use the same strategy within that, but we still got the idea behind the elements of a wildly important goal and what we need to have in it, and then how we can utilize it. Fantastic. Nice work, everyone. Okay, so finishing up today, we don't have much time left. Boy, this time goes by fast. I want to get to, and I think it's an exit ticket, but I want to go back to our action agenda real quick, because I gave you some resources that you might be able to use to help you nail this down for education purposes. So in the number 3, what resources, there's a video that we showed earlier, but there's also Mrs. Watson's class website and growing my classroom. I'm so sorry, my children are screaming at a game right now. Anyway, Mrs. Watson's class website and growing my classroom, they are websites that it shows that teachers have used the 4 disciplines of execution and how they might use that in their classroom as well. So those are for you to use and to look and see how different teachers have used those in their classrooms. I do have a "What road are you on" exit ticket. And once again, I always have to include things that you can use in your classroom as well. And this would also be something that you're going to want to make a copy of if you want to utilize that exit ticket for today. Or you can just simply put your answer into chat. And it's basically asking you, if you had to compare your understanding of today's lessons, which we're talking about the WIG, what elements it is and how we would utilize that. Would you describe your understanding as a dirt road? You need to go slow. A paved road, you can go medium speed, or the highway, you're ready to go full steam ahead. So let me kind of know in the chat which one you're on. And Kay, what do you have for the good of the order?
I would like, before we leave, everybody that's on here to turn on your camera just for a minute so I can take a picture of us all.
Oh, I'm seeing some good answers too. I'm seeing some highway and some paved road. So that means good paved road. Fantastic.
Come on, guys, turn your cameras on just for a minute.
Hi, everyone.
I look awful, so you don't have to.
Faces.
Yeah, we like to see faces.
Paved road, need to ponder a little more. I like that. Some people are merging. Good. Claire's got her cowboy hat on. She's ready to rock and roll.
I have to take her someplace fun.
We've got a couple dirt roads, and that's okay. We're going to keep on working on that stuff. Also, don't forget a few potholes.
I love that with the potholes. I'm with you, Amanda.
That makes gravel road somewhere between dirt and paved. I like that, Claire.
How deep are the potholes? That's the question. Are you going to get caught?
A winding country road with no signs. Okay, we're going to have to work. I love it. I love it. Won't bust a tire, she said.
Okay,
so that's
good.
a good thing. Those are manageable potholes. So don't forget also to do your evaluation that Kay has put on there.
Yes, there is an evaluation sign-in on the active agenda. I put that in the chat again. If you need me to do that, let me know. Also, all of the information about how we want to tweet, including Deb's, her Twitter handle, are listed there. So make sure you send a tweet out. Maybe tweet your wildly important goal.
Yes. Kim said she's paved on a paved road, but she had a fantastic group, but she doesn't speed. So
See, are you driving a party bus? That's the question.
I love it.
Group you had was a fantastic group. So I think that this is great to think about. And I think when we're working on the Twitter help, we're thinking maybe the first week of December, we're trying to get a special guest who is really, really good at social media to come and visit us. And so that's what we're waiting on the date for our Twitter fun stuff. teach you how to clean. We're gonna learn from the best. So I
So
won't
the
tell you who yet. It's a secret.
So the next week, for the reading, since we
What
have
do we have to
different-
wear next week?
next week is, let me see what our Jamboard says here. It has a
Kim, she
Thanksgiving.
looks great.
I asked for a Thanksgiving theme, so it can be anything. You can be a turkey. It's whatever you want. And also we make sure that we read, I think it's going to be chapter, because we have a different books. So we are going to read chapter 3, which is all about our act on our lead measures. So we're going to be doing, Claire says she's already a butterball.
So we're reading, it's a lot of reading next week. It's page 55 to 87.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, that's 2 chapters. Hold on.
I think it's,
55 to 74.
there we go. There we go. And it's about the lead measures. So we'll be learning about the lead measures that helps us get to our wig. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, Kim. I love that hat. You're so sweet. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.